Hello. Is this thing on? Happy New Year. I'm just doing a quick audio test for you early birds. I'm going to make sure that the audio is working and then we'll get started. So I see a couple of you guys on the chat, which is awesome. And I'll introduce our moderator in a second. Zach, thanks for checking out my tweet. And that's awesome. All right, so I'm going to hop off here and make sure that you guys can see the very, very important keynote here, and we'll start there. All right, so you can see that, right? All right, so we're going to start in 5 minutes, so everyone can just grab a drink, chill out, and all that jazz. All right, we'll see you soon. Hey, everybody. I'm like a little bit early. We got 1 minute. We're gonna let people sign on and get the technology. Happy New Year. Did everybody have a good New Year? I went kayaking in a river with ice in it, which was really exciting and refreshing. We did not fall in, so that was also a good thing. So let's give everyone a couple minutes here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your week to be here and be here early or on time if you're just showing up here. Hello, all these people. This is so awesome. Everyone's saying hey. So friendly. Good. We're musicians are friendly, right? We musicians are the friendly type. All right. Everyone's got some water, some wine, hot cocoa. Anything else that's delicious? Anything else alcoholic? It's been one of those days, I'm telling you. All right, it's 8:30. I know people are still signing on and figuring out their password. So while we're just waiting for the last few people to come on in, I just want to introduce Suze, who's moderating the chat. There's a chat below the video if you're watching the video on the webinar page, which I think that's the only way you can watch this video. So all you need to do is just type your name in, or you can sign in through Twitter or Facebook, whichever you prefer. And then you just type and then press enter. There's no fancy buttons or anything like that. And Suze, who's under the name moderator, which sounds very official, is Suze of the Rockstar Advocate. So she's an awesome resource to have here too. So I'm really excited she's working with me to help answer any of your questions if I'm in the middle of talking about myself or something. The other thing that you guys can do while we're waiting for the last few people to show up here is click, there's a little word that says live. If you click that, it will eliminate any delay, I think. I don't have any delay over here, but that's probably because I'm talking in real time. It's like inception in my brain right now. So click the live button so that you don't have any delay. Say hi to Suze, who's our moderator, on the chat box below. And if you have comments or questions throughout the whole thing, definitely chat in there. Leave a comment. She's going to let me know. I'm going to go through this afterwards and make sure that I answer all your questions. We will have a Q&A at the end as well. So it's a good place to be interactive there. So definitely do that. So, all righty. I know people are still logging on. I can see the numbers increasing here. So Scott's a big fan of delay. Oh, music jokes already. I love it. I like reverb personally, but if you're a delay guy, I get it. It's all good. All right, so we're almost here, everybody. That's my cold water. I'm going to be drinking that throughout. So let me just start by saying I am really honored that you're here to take the next hour with me and talk about stuff to make our music careers better. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. So I'm just happy that you're here, and I hope you're comfortable and drinking something delicious and have fuzzy slippers on and whatever you do on a Wednesday night. So thank you very much for being here. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna switch back and forth between like me live and some slides I've made for you. So I'm just gonna pop over to those right now. And for those of us just starting, I'm Cheryl Engelhardt. Thank you for being here. We've got a chat box below. Suze is moderating, and click the live button so you don't have any delay. And with no further ado, let's get going here. So I'm going to share my screen for a second or two or 20 minutes. We'll see. And get going. So this is the webinar called 5 Keys to Unlock Music Career Success. If you were expecting me to show you how to bake bread, you are in the wrong place. You are in the right place if you are someone who wants to make a career with music, but you're not sure where to start. If you wish you made more money with your music, or if you're tired of cold calling and pitching with no response, or if you want more clarity, time, money, fans, insert whatever that thing is that you want. Like, what's the thing you set out to do in 2017, right? Like, we have New Year's resolutions up the yazoo right now. So if you're any one of these people, then you have come to the right place. And by the way, I'm actually all of those. Like, this is a process for me too. So today, in the next hour, we're going to cover a bunch of stuff. We're going to be looking at where you are now in your music career and where you want to be. We're going to look at 5 key areas, the 5 key areas to focus on to take your music to the next level. These are So important. And I'm really excited to be sharing them with you. And we're going to create a plan for your year incorporating each of these key areas. There's also going to be an opportunity to dig in and truly master each area at the end. So definitely stick with me here. And we're going to unlock some things. Let's use the key analogy a little bit, shall we? By the end of the hour, my intention is that you feel really clear on your next steps, that you're confident that you can generate income from your music, because it's possible. I know there's a lot of naysayers and people talking about streamings taking over and it's not paying musicians. It's really possible to do this. And I want you to feel excited about being one of the lucky people who gets to do what they love for a living. And you may not be there right now, but this is why you're on this webinar, right? Like, you're here because this is your intention, right? Like, you want to be making money from something that you love. And that's actually not very common. Like, I forget about that, right? I surround myself with musicians and composers and really exciting creative people. And I forget that the majority of the world is not excited about what they're doing. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And you guys know what you love. And that is such a gift. And you know that you have a gift, right? Like, if you can play music, like, you've got something special. And it's really cool that you're like, yeah, I want to share this with the world and I'm going to make a career out of it. And I'm just looking at how to do that. So that's really exciting. So I want to acknowledge you for that and for being here. So again, I want you to make sure that you stay through the end, because I have a very special offer at the end to really dig into how to implement each of these keys we're going to talk about with your own personal situation, with one-on-one help from me. So first, let's just get some basic facts down. So today's music industry, it's tricky, right? Like, thriving in the music business is hard, but like I said, it's not impossible. It's really not. Here are some facts that will make you happy. For example, 51% of Americans went to live music concerts in 2015, a number that has been growing steadily since 2011. So that's good news for those of you who do the live music thing. And in 2016, the average American listened to 728 minutes of streaming radio. In 2012, it was only 586. So that is growing and is also good news. And this last one is like my favorite. Global music revenue in 2016 reached $15 billion, and indie music was 34% of the US market. So we, indie musicians, actually have a large chunk of that $15 billion. So now it's just time to go get it, right? So the takeaway here is there is a market for your music today. So first, let's talk about when we're off key. And I'm not talking about singing. Here are some more key puns and analogies. Are you guys appreciating these? Okay, cool. A few common mistakes that we musicians make. The first one, and by the way, I can list these because I have made every single one of them, and I continue to make a few of them, which I may or may not share which ones those are. But first, we wait for someone to find us, right? Like, you have a gig. Every gig I played, pretty much every gig for like 4 years, I was like, maybe there will be a record executive in the audience in this small cafe that serves only decaf coffee. Maybe they'll be here and they'll hear me. No. So that's a big mistake. 2, not knowing what you really want, like thinking you know, or like seeing someone else's career and be like, that could be cool, but not actually like being sure. Third mistake, we misuse time, and therefore we don't make anything happen, right? And this is sort of connected to the fourth one, like where you don't know where to start, so you don't do anything, right? So there. I mean, I could wake up in the morning and be like, I don't know what to do today. So Netflix? Yep. Netflix is like my default. So second to last, one of the mistakes we make is targeting the wrong fans or trying to please everyone. If you're trying to please everyone, you're targeting the wrong fans. And if you're going after the wrong fans, you're not going to be selling your CDs. You're not going to be getting people out to shows. It's a huge mistake. And then the last one is thinking that DIY, which stands for do it yourself, means do it alone, it does not. And that's a big mistake, to try to take on everything ourselves, which is one of the reasons why I'm really glad that you're here. So this is going to be like a personal tune-up for you at the very least. Success in the music industry doesn't need to be out of reach. We are not talking about trial and error anymore. No more throwing spaghetti to the wall and seeing what sticks. I love that analogy because it's how I ran my career. I was like, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. So there was no intention. It was not effective at all. So we're killing trial and error. We're going to actually use these 5 keys to guide the plan for the next actions. So there's intention, there's purpose, and we know why we're doing this. So here are the 5 keys: brand consistency, pitching, fan engagement, generating and managing income, and structures for success. I'll give you a second to write those down. Did you get the emails, by the way, you guys, with a download? There's a download that you could, like a workbook that goes along with this that you can use for taking notes and all that stuff. So it's a fillable PDF. So hopefully you're using that. So these are the 5 keys. So we're going to get into each one of these in this hour call, believe it or not. So first things first, why should you even listen to me in the first place? So let me just quickly introduce myself. I'm Cheryl. That's me, and those are my 4 records. I am a singer-songwriter. I've made 4 piano pop records. My first one came out in 2004, so I'm pushing 13 years in this industry. I've had songs from those records placed on over 40 TV shows and commercials. I've toured all over the place, specifically USA and Europe. I've been to Switzerland 7 times with my band. And my last 2 records were fan-funded, and each one individually, I raised over $20,000 through my fans. I'm also a composer. I've done over 60 scores for college humor videos. I've done a dozen documentaries and short films, and I've scored a bunch of commercials that have aired nationally, including Ziploc, Honey Nut Cheerios, and Kia. I'm also a music business consultant and coach. So I work with some music business startups, and I also work with individual musicians on really how to get out of your own way and start seeing the career you want. And I only do that because I wish I had someone like that when I started 12, 13, 14 years ago. And I've gotten a lot of training in the area of being a coach so that I can really be effective in how I listen to people and not just share my own experiences, which is always really fun, but there's so many different ways to really be effective in your own career specific to you. So that's me. And the struggle for me is real and was real. And is a little less real now because I'm working on implementing all of these keys all of the time, but I could barely pay my rent in Harlem for a very long time. I was touring and making records, and that was costing a ton of money and not equaling what I was bringing in. I had a bunch of odd jobs and a day job, so I had no time and not a lot of energy to focus on anything, let alone like being effective at making money with music. I mean, I was a personal trainer. I was a bouncer. I was an intern at a recording studio. I was the tech at a composing house. I've done a lot of random things. And my biggest thing was I thought I needed someone to find me to be a success. Like that drove everything I did. So I'm here today because I get it. Like it's a struggle. So I want to take a quick second and ask you, like, where are you right now? Like, what is the snapshot of your music career right now? Like, don't worry about what you want, what's missing or anything like that. Like, just what do you have going on right now? Like, what are your projects? Where do you make money from music? If you do, if you don't, it's not a big deal. Just sort of look at what is the current picture. And notice what some of the keys you have in place. Like, do you have a website? Do you have branding? Do you have some fans? Do you have income coming in? Are you engaged with your fans? Sort of start to notice like what you've got going on. The reason we do this is because if we're talking about going from point A to point B, we actually need to know where point A is in order to get to point B. So then we're going to look at all of these keys, which ones we want to put into place and which ones are missing, and which ones could use a little bit of a tune-up. Cool. A lot of music lessons pay the bills. Yeah, music lessons are awesome. I still teach music lessons. I have a whole thing about music lessons I can get into later. I think it's totally part of having a music career. It makes me a better piano player for sure. I finally learned scales when I started teaching them. I'll just say that. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into these keys, shall we? The first one is one that I can dork out on for a million years. And some of you guys have met me because I did a whole brand consistency webinar for the Disc Makers folks folks. Brand consistency is so important, and it sounds like some businessy corporate term. It's really not. It's very simple, and it's very, very key to your fans understanding who you are and getting new ones. So branding works for you in two ways. First, it helps to attract the right fans. And second, this is the part where a lot of people don't use branding. It tells those fans what to do. We'll get into that in a second. So branding includes the obvious, the graphics, right? Like colors, fonts, social media, header images, like for Facebook and Twitter and SoundCloud, YouTube, a logo if you have one. Also, branding includes your website organization, how you actually organize your site so that people know where to go and the experience that they have when they're on their website. It represents the experience they're going to have when they hire you or when they book you or when they buy your music. There's other places your branding can exist, like, for example, email signature, right? And how you talk about yourself and your music. Everything that comes out of your mouth that has to do with your career is part of your brand. It's what you're communicating to the world out there. So branding reflects what you want most for your career, right? Not what you think other people want, but what you want. It also can reflect your purpose, like on a big picture, right? And who you are. So it's really shining a light on some of your personality and some of your values. And when your branding, your graphics and all that stuff is doing that, then you don't have to talk about it. You can spend your time talking about the cool projects you're doing or the fan funding you're doing or whatever else you got going on, because people are clear who you are because of your branding, right? So when your branding is consistent, that means that the way you talk about your music, your website, and everything else you've got out there sort of looks and feels the same. Like the experience is predictable and starts to feel familiar, which is where you start to really gain trust and customers. So I just want to show you a quick example of a brand consistence band that I love and have worked with, the Gage Brothers. These guys, one of these guys did my MX4 course, which I'll tell you a little bit about later. And they really got that they're family. They're two brothers, and then they have these other bandmates. And just take a quick look. This is a snapshot of their homepage. It says, join our family underneath the Gage Brothers. It says, see a show, buy an album, join our family. See that? And that's the link to their mailing list. Like, how cool is that, right? Like, there's this yellow, like warm feel, and then there's the bricks, and then there's these like happy guys. And it's just like, don't you want to be in their family, right? And then in terms of consistency, I just grabbed one screenshot of their Twitter page. You still have this warm, like there's that bright light coming out, and then you really get like family, right? And they have a logo for their band, and you can see that on both pages, but the feeling is the same, right? It's inviting, and I bet you could probably guess their genre or what kind of music they play just by looking at them, right? Am I right? So that's what I'm talking about by brand consistency done really well. So here's how we're going to put this into your world. See, this is something you can schedule into your calendar. Go see where your brand is consistent. Like, does your website match your Facebook headers and Twitters and things? Is it really representing like what you want right now? So schedule about a half an hour to do a brand like review for yourself, right? And you'll start with that. And then there might be things to do. There might be like, you might need to create some graphics. There might be some website reorganization, and then you'll go schedule those actions. So there's going to be something else to do, but first just schedule yourself a little bit of a review. Okay, cool. So that's the brand consistency key. The next key is pitching. Who hates pitching? Raise your hand. I'm raising my hand. You can't see me. Yes, Chris Anthony, by the way, the Gage Brothers are folky and happy and upbeat. Like, yeah, totally. All right, so you guys, pitching is like so not about getting something you want. How many of you even get emails of people pitching stuff to you and you're just like, oh, that's so gross, right? Pitching is about creating an opportunity for someone else so that you become irresistible to them. Like completely irresistible. And there's a really specific way to do this. I've created a whole separate course on this. I have an article called The Perfect Pitch, but I've taken a bunch of different processes and theories, and I've got it down into 8 steps. And it is really remarkable how well these steps work. So I'm going to share them with you here really quickly. There is a link to an article somewhere I can post later, but I just want to go through this because it's so important. The first thing you want to do And this is whether you're pitching, by the way, we could be pitching anyone. We could be asking someone out on a date, or we could be pitching a song to a music supervisor for a TV show, or you could be pitching a booking agent. I mean, the people that you could be pitching to are endless, right? So the first thing is think of what do you actually want to happen in this one interaction? So if you're sending an email to a booking agent, like what do you want to have happen at the end? Do you want them to book you? Do you want to hop on the phone and have a conversation with them? Like be specific about what you want and what is most likely going to happen that makes sense, right? So if you're sending a song to a licensing agent, like it's not going to be, hey, here's my song, will you put it in your next TV show? It's going to be a conversation. It's going to be, there's got to be more to it than that. So the first thing is to know what you want. Second thing is to be a human. So now we're going to start, let's say this is an email. You can do this in person, on the phone, you can use this anywhere, but let's just use an email for this example. So be a human. This means if you were looking up a music supervision company on Google and you're trying to like relate to them somehow, you can actually say, hey, I was looking up really great music supervision companies on Google and I came across your name and this caught my eye or whatever. One sentence to show that you are a human and you're not cut and copy pasting emails, right? The next thing is not a paragraph about who you are and why you're cool because you recorded with this famous producer or whatever. You want to tell them what you think they're struggling with. Like, what's their problem that they're dealing with? Like, is the venue like trying to find really great acts, opening acts for a Wednesday night? Is the music supervisor like sifting through hundreds and hundreds of CDs trying to find a perfect song that's in line with their show? So just take a guess. This is one sentence about what you're assuming that they're struggling with. You're sort of getting into their world, right? And then you want to paint a picture. What would it look like if that problem was solved? Notice there's 4 steps here out of 8. We're still not talking about you, right? So we're in their world. Cool. Number 5, what is your solution? This is where you can start presenting your opportunity, right? So what really is going to solve their problem? So if you've listened to this person's TV show, right, the music supervisor's TV show, you know that you have a song that is completely aligned with what they've been doing on their show. And you send this song to them and you say the solution is that you have a song that's in line with the show. You've done the research, you own all the rights, you have all of the stuff that they need, and now they can go home for a long weekend. They can go home early. Like that's the solution, right? That's an opportunity for them. And they don't need to know about all the stuff in your whole bio. They just need to know that you have a song, you've done the research, and there you go. So following up with that, that could be about 2 sentences, right? Like you're creating the opportunity for them to solve their problem. And then you really need to ask them a yes or no question. You need to make a request. So it's not, check out my song. I have a great song for your show. It doesn't end there. You have to ask them a yes or no question because there's some psychological stuff that goes behind asking a yes or no question. Like the brain answers automatically, so it's more likely to act. So if you say, for the music supervisor, would you be able to listen to this song before Friday and have a conversation with me at Friday at 3 to talk about how we could work together? Would that work for you? That may not work for them, but you may get, oh, I can do next week, or I'm busy this week, let's follow up later. Like you want to get the conversation and the relationship going, right? So then you sign off. And if you need to send a link to an MP3 or something like that, you can say the link is below, or more information on me is in the link below my signature. 1 or 2 links. We don't need to give your whole social media profile. And you're not ever reciting your whole bio and what you've done and why you're awesome. If you can solve their problem, you're going to be awesome in their eyes, no matter what. The last step is follow up. I always, 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 always suggest that you should follow up within like a week, and you can ask permission to follow up. So you're not being a burden. You can say, hey, here's the email I sent last week, and you copy and paste it below so they don't have to go searching for it. And then you just let them know that you're available to talk or whatever the request was, and say, I know you must be really busy. Would it be okay if I continued to follow up with you until you found a time to talk to me? And when you ask permission and they don't get back to you, then you can keep following up until they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Or like, we're not interested right now, but get in touch in a year or whatever. So follow up is the most important step. Honestly, it's where I've gotten about 90% of the best things that have happened for me. Alrighty. So that's the pitch, like being really clear on what you want, how you're an opportunity for them, having a specific yes or no request, and then following up. All right. So what are some results from using this? I will tell you that I only used this perfect pitch formula when I was fan funding my last record. I asked people to collaborate with and contribute using this perfect pitch. And my results were, not only did I meet the pledge with only 57 people, look at this here. So I told you I raised $20,000, over $20,000 for both of my records. And I know it says 12,558 here. That's because I actually got a $10,000 check written to me that did not go through the pledge campaign. And that was not because I posted random stuff on social media. It was because I was making relationships with people and had a very clear direct request. So that's kind of cool, right? Like, it works. So there you go. All right. The next fan engagement. Perfect pitch leads right into fan engagement because it's not about just throwing stuff up there. It is all about the relationship, right? And that's what you're doing with the pitching, is developing that relationship. So engagement is, let's see, it's interaction, it's relationship building, and it's a two-way street. It is not being a billboard, right? How many posts do you guys see about, like, check out my new video, period, end of story. Check this out. I did this. You're like, okay, like, that's being a billboard. And it's cool. It might be cool for a second, right? Like you're driving on a highway, you see a billboard, like maybe it catches your eye, maybe it's annoying, but you drive right by it. There's no interaction. They get no data, right? The billboard doesn't get any information how effective it was. So there's that. Engagement is also not asking for stuff all the time. That's not engagement. That's annoying. So let's talk about what we can do here. So we can show interest, right? So on social media, we're talking about like asking questions or running a poll, and not necessarily always about your music, right? Like ask people what they did for the New Year's, or, you know, just generally getting interested in who's there with you. Like, oh, you have someone following me that went to Taiwan for a couple of days. That's cool. Oh, I have people, like, who knew? That's cool. And you never know what kind of songs or collaborations or anything's going to come up, but you want to really be engaging here. And the next part of this, and this is a huge one, is responding to positive comments. Never respond to negative comments. That's all that they generally want. Respond to positive comments. So if you owned a store, like you sold scarves, let's just say, and someone comes into your store and they're like, oh my God, I love this scarf. Would you just stand there and give them a blank stare or not even look at them? No, you'd be like, thank you. This one's made out of bamboo and I have more colors over here. And what is it, a gift? You'd like interact with them, right? So do that. Like on YouTube, when people comment on your videos, like absolutely be replying back with a thank you. I really appreciate that you watched that, right? Like the more you engage with them, the more they're gonna be like, oh, wow, there's a real person over there. Like, cool. Maybe I should share this because that's a nice thing to do, right? Cool. So what are some results that you can get from really mastering fan engagement? The first one is super fans. Super fans are the people that are invested in your whole career, and they're the people that are going to fan fund anything that you do, right? And they want to be part of the whole career, not just one project, right? They're there for life. One recent participant in my MX4 course decided that she wanted to go on a tour. She thought it was like something she might do in a couple years, but in the past 6 weeks, she basically booked herself a tour, a 2-week tour this month, which is kind of awesome. And she figured out she had this one problem. She didn't know anyone in any of these cities. And she reached out to her fans, and her fans connected her with people. And now she and her band are staying at someone's house every single night. Like they're not staying in hotels anywhere, because she's got some serious super fans that were like, I'm going to make some phone calls. And she just made it happen. And I just thought that was extraordinary. Like that's what super fans can do for you, which is really cool. I had a group of super fans. I emailed out my mailing list and was like, listen, I want to take my band to Switzerland and I can only afford 2 tickets. There's 4 of us. Does anyone have miles they're not going to use? And we were able to fly two band members for free because we collected miles from, I think it was 4 or 5 people contributed, which is a super fan thing to do for sure. So you never know what the results are. I mean, super fans are awesome. The wrong way to do fan engagement is, like I said before, hey, watch my new video, help me make a record, right? Like commands, statements and commands. Like they're just kind of like, bleh. One example of right way would be something like, would you be willing to play a game of getting 500 likes on this video? Like people love games and they like to win. So if you're playing a game, they want to win, they're going to help you. And that's also a yes or no question, by the way. So they're going to be thinking to themselves, yeah, right? Another one question, great question, like what's the biggest mystery to you around making a record? I asked that of my fans and people were like, what happens in the studio? So I then offered a bunch of different packages about coming in the studio, singing in the vocal booth with me, watching an orchestra session. Like that was really popular because that's just like a big mystery. It's like stuff you see on TV and in magazines, right? So just some examples there. So one of the things we can now schedule, right? So we're creating your year plan of things that are going to make a difference for you. Schedule into your calendar a way that you can engage with your fans. And I don't know what that means for you, but maybe a half an hour a week, you go to all your social media sites, check to see if there's any new comments that you missed, and just sort of have conversations, right? So there's no agenda. We're not talking about content posting. That's a totally different conversation. And I definitely get into that later, but we're talking about just being responsible for the interaction. So go schedule that, figure out what that looks like, and start to see some things start to shift slowly as you really, I'm overusing the word engage, but it's really getting engaged with people. It's really kind of a relationship building exercise for yourself. Okay, awesome. So let's get into all of our favorite topic, generating, and maybe not managing, but generating income. I know managing is part of that, but it may not be our favorite topic. So the first thing that we have to talk about before we can talk about money is the money mindset. There's this thing. I'm going to tell you about it. The biggest difference between people who are comfortable with money and people who are not comfortable with money, like they need more of it or they think they need more of it, is the willingness and ability to manage their money. I'll say that again because it's kind of deep. The biggest difference between people who are comfortable with money and those who are not is the willingness and ability to manage their money. So like, what the heck does that mean? All that means is that money is a habit for them. So for the people that are comfortable with money and feel like they have enough, money has become a habit. When I say habit, I personally, like I've done a lot of work around money mindset. I had some really messed up versions of why I wasn't making any money for years and years and years. And the work I did really got me clear that money's like air. Like this is my favorite analogy. Money is like air. First of all, there's plenty for everybody. And the more you breathe it in, the more you can breathe it out. So it's like an in and out, and there's plenty for everyone. And then the third thing that it's like air is it's constant. It's not like I will breathe at the end of the month for 10 minutes. Or I will look at my budget at the beginning of the month, or I will deposit all of my checks this one day. Like it's every day when something happens with your money, or you decide that you want to check that bank account or put $3 into a jar or whatever, there's something that has your mind go to money, not in a bad way, not in a good way. It's just to make it a habit in your world, right? That's really important to be able to have that relationship with money so that you can start generating income. So there's a few things that I like to have in place when we're talking about generating income. So the first thing is you need to know how much money you have right now. So this is kind of like this whole big picture of point A to point B. Like in order to get from point A to point B, you need to know where A is. So we want to know how much money do you have? How much money do you spend? And sometimes it's easy to look at this in like months, right? Monthly, how much money do you spend? How much money do you make or generate? I used a fancy word on the slide. Sorry. How much money do you generate? How much money do you need? Now, this is an interesting one. So when you think about what you need, I'm talking about like mortgage or rent, health insurance, car payments, bills, things that will keep you from getting fined or getting arrested or, anything like that. So that you can be a good citizen. That's the need. Food is in there and, the clothes and shoes that are necessities. I'm not talking about that new piece of gear. I'm not talking about going out to the movies. That's a lifestyle. That's a different category. Just what you need. So if you know that you need $2,000 a month to get by, then you know that you need to be spending less than that in order to save anything. And you know you need to be generating more than that, or just around there, right? So you start to get some relationship between all of these different categories when you have these numbers and you know exactly what they are. Then you want to know how much money you want. So that goes into the lifestyle. Like, how much money do you like to spend or save? And so it's a whole other world, right? So if you know what all these numbers are, you're going to have a really great place to start. And then you can start putting out there into the world, like, I need to make this much money, put it out there into the universe, right? But right now, if it's just like, I want to make $100,000, like, it doesn't mean anything. It's sort of just like a number versus knowing and having a real good context, right? So the next thing you really want to make sure that you, and this is for musicians specifically, I think all of you guys are musicians, is you want to be set up to be paid. Like, are you a member of your performing rights organization? ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. I'm assuming if you're on this webinar, you're sort of in that place where you know what that is, and you are. Sound Exchange, you've opted into your YouTube monetization options for your digital distribution. Oh my God, say that 10 times fast. If you're a composer, you've created some pricing minimums. Like, you've got stuff in place to support you being paid when you get those opportunities. For those people who are songwriters and composers, producers, people that are getting paid for services, you want to make sure you're charging what you're worth. Piano teachers, all that jazz. And is it time to ask for a raise or change your prices and raise them a little bit? I mean, this is the time of year to do that, you guys. Like, January 1st, like, no one's going to be surprised if you're like, I'm raising my lessons rates by $5 an hour. People are like, okay, like, give them 2 weeks notice. And then, like, most people are good. You're not going to lose students because you decided to raise your value. Okay. Another thing that you can think about is, where can you generate new income like right now? So I think I did a little bit of a brainstorm. We can brainstorm now in one of those tips emails that I was sending out. Like, do you have any gear that you can sell? Does anybody owe you money that you could reach out to? What are different things that you could create right now, like this week, and do like a Hail Mary of money, right? What gigs can you book? Do you know that you have some easy gigs that you could get? And you're like, oh yeah, I haven't gotten that gig in a while. I should just call that guy and go play at that venue. And they always pay me $200 or whatever. So what are some results from just like taking away all the meaning you have around money and just like taking action every day, taking small actions? Like, what are some of the results? So when you know what you want and you set out to create it, it happens. Like, that's one result, right? Like, just each day, if you look at a different one of those numbers, like what you have, what you want, what you spend, all those money numbers, like, just do one a day and you're already changing the mindset. And then you're going to start to really put out there in the world, like, what do you want? So another past MX4 participant who I'm a big fan of, Scott, had this great idea that he wanted to make $1,000 in a week. And everyone's like, haha, that's crazy. And he went and did it. You know how he did it? Because he engaged with his fans and created, for the first time ever, the idea of doing house concerts. And people started saying, like, yeah, I want to host that. And he ended up being able to generate that money because he said so. And he had a plan and he put it into place and he knew what he needed. He's like, this is the money I need. And it was kind of awesome. So scotttran.com, you guys check him out. He's fantastic. So that's something that you can put into your calendar. What is it? 5 minutes a day? Is it an hour a week to start to brainstorm different direct ways to make money? So figure out what that is for you and put that in your calendar, right? And all these things that are like recurring events, make sure when you add them to your calendar, if you use Google Calendar or iCal or whatever, is that it's a recurring event. Like, you actually set it so that every month you see it and you don't need to remember to schedule it. Like, that helps create these good habits. Okay, awesome. So last pit, this is like my favorite part, structures for success. Because if all of these other keys if you're doing all the other stuff, but you're not doing structures for success, like, brand consistency is not going to matter at all. Like, generating income, like, that's not going to be a thing. Pitching, you're not going to be pitching if you don't have the structure. So what does this even mean? We do not use everyday tools and concepts. And I say that I'm setting you up because the things I'm going to say, you're going to be like, that's like common sense. But I have a twist on them all. So don't worry. The first one, calendar. We do not have the relationship with our calendar that we should in order to be really, really effective. It's a thing that we put our appointments where other people are counting on us. It's not the thing that we normally put stuff that we are counting on for ourselves. So accountability is another one. The people in our lives that are rooting for us, if we actually told them what we were up to and what we wanted, even though we might be embarrassed, we'll fail and may not hit it, like they can hold us to account and like have us get up in the morning and instead of binge watching Netflix, myself included, I'm like, oh, I know that there's someone out there waiting for me to do this thing. So that's an underused tool. Same thing with community, like community online. Like I've got my In the Key of Success Facebook group. You guys are starting to use that as a community to share what you're up to and links and things like that. But like when you put things out there and what you want, like it's going to come back to you because other people know about it. It's like in reality, right? And the last thing is development. When I say development, I mean any sort of development of yourself. So personal development, your tech skills, working on your own performance skills, like constantly being in the inquiry that you don't have it all. You don't have it all handled, right? And you're learning, constantly learning. So here is my week this week. You'll see we're on Wednesday here. We're in the webinar, which is awesome. This is what my week looks like. And there's a couple things to notice here. There's a lot of different colors. Not every minute is scheduled. The light peach is actually my tasks for myself. And there's some balance here. So some takeaway. So stare at this for a second because I'm going to change the screen and talk about what you should get out of this. So you see my calendar. So some of the key takeaways here are there are no such things in my life as to-do lists. No to-do lists. Everything I need to do, I schedule into my calendar. So if I think, oh, I need to call that person, I don't write it down on a piece of paper. I schedule it into my calendar. So I know it's going to happen. Right? So calendar events only. So that's like a huge relief, you guys. Like I don't need to have multiple systems. I have my iCal system and that's it. And I have different calendars in there for different events. I have one that I share with my husband. There's a work one. I have, composing. I have a fitness thing. I have lessons. Like there's all sorts of different calendars. It's really well organized, but it's all in one place. You'll also notice on that calendar, there was a call with an accountability partner. Every week I have a call and basically we talk about the things we said we wanted to do, whether or not we did them. And if we didn't, what was stopping us and do we need support? And we sort of have a conversation about that. And what do we want to do for the next week? So that we're constantly moving forward and holding each other accountable for that. Another thing you'll see is that there is a big purple block, and that is a course that I'm taking right now in leadership and coaching so that I can be even better at talking to musicians about this stuff, which is 1/3 of what I do. So I am constantly developing my own skills so that I can be really powerful in not only how I talk to musicians, but also like how I talk to music supervisors and booking agents and, anyone where I want to collaborate with or partner with in some way. I am constantly looking at how can I do that better. I go to conferences. I love talking on panels at conferences, but I think I'm one of the few panelists that goes and sits in the room as well, because I am constantly trying to figure out what is going on with the music industry. So having my thumb on the pulse of the music industry is really important to me also. I can then make decisions and take actions according to what is going on. So there's career leadership, there's technology development, all sorts of different ways to invest in yourself other than buying a new keyboard, which is always a tempting thing for me, but I have too many keyboards. Maybe I should sell one actually. So the last thing I want to show you is that there are multiple projects, right? There's a lot of different stuff going on, but they're focused. Like up till today, I've been focusing on creating a great webinar for you guys, like something that I wish I could have watched 10 years ago. So I've been working a lot on this. I have a team, like we dealt with all the tech stuff, so that's been like my focus. But I have 3 songs that I'm co-writing for a licensing company, and I've got producers and other singers and people that are waiting on me. And we have scheduled those things for this weekend. So this weekend, I know that I'm going to be doing a lot of vocal sessions, and that's fine. When you're in communication with your calendar and you've got the things scheduled and the people that are involved with those events in your calendar, they know about it, then everything's handled, right? You're in communication and the calendars, it's just like, oh, I have no stress around producing those songs because it's scheduled in my calendar and I don't have to think about it until it shows up in my calendar. So the last thing that I want to point out is each key that we're talking about, like the brand consistency, fan engagement, money, blah, 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 each week I have something scheduled around those things. So whether it's to check in on my all the comments and engage, whether it's to check off all my, make sure the credit card bills are paid and all that stuff. There's something for every category so that none of those keys get stagnant, right? And there's constantly movement and growth in those 5 areas, because those 5 areas are the ones that I feel like are really important and cover almost all the bases I can think of in terms of the things that are necessary to run my music career like a business. So that's something that you can put in. It's a challenge and it takes a while to figure out how you like to work your calendar. Some people like to block out like big 4-hour chunks of things to do. I like to break down things into micro tasks. Like if I post something like send email to fan list, like I just put it off, because what I really need to do is have a task that says send or create an outline and then format the email, and then a different task that says format in MailChimp and then schedule it. Like I need to break it down and it's much more manageable for me that way. So that's something that you have to play with for yourself. So I don't know what that means exactly, but see, do you like to schedule every minute of the day? Do you like big blocks that you can move around if things get, you need to be flexible? So just figure that out. It takes a couple weeks. It can take a couple months, but as long as it's the same thing with money. As long as you're starting to like work the habit and work that muscle, you're going to get really good at it and start to be a master. Like I confidently call myself a master of my schedule. Like I don't miss appointments. I am never late. And unless something crazy happens, like the stuff that happens in my calendar, that goes into my calendar, like happens. Like that's kind of cool, right? You write something down and then you know that you're going to do it. And if I am having problem doing it, like I have people to support me because of my accountability and the communities that I've put myself in to help me get it done. Like that's cool, right? If you write something down and then in a week, you know it's going to be done. Like there's not a lot of predictability in the music industry, I will say that. But when you can cause it for yourself just because of how you schedule your life, like that's kind of cool, right? So my question for you is, what do you want to unlock? Like which key do you want the most or do you think is missing? So I want you to picture it for a second. So you wrote down where you are now, right? Like the current snapshot. So I pictured that like one island in the ocean. Then what I want you to picture is if I hit you on the head with a magic wand, and some of you have heard me say this before because I just love this, right? And I do this for myself all the time. If I hit you on the head with a magic wand and you have the perfect music career, what would it be? So think about that for a second. This is a hard one for musicians because sometimes we don't even like think it's possible. So like, don't worry about how to get there and don't worry about money. So if you're not worrying about those 2 things, like what would that career look like? What would you be doing? Who would you be doing it with or for? What would your lifestyle look like? What would be the same? What would be different? So take a second and just like jot something down. I can see Sue's in the moderator position there. What do you want to unlock? So, I'd love to see your comments here. Like, what is the perfect career look like? Like, it's so hard to imagine, right? What does that look like for you guys? If you've got the workbook in front of you, you can jot down notes there. If you just have a napkin or a sticky note, just write down whatever it is. Okay, you guys got it? So that's like another island. Like I picture these 2 islands, like where you are now, where you want to be. So what's missing? Like what's stopping you from having that ideal career like right now? Think about that. Is it money, time, branding, fans, a plan? Like all of those things? Something else? Anything else? Okay, so I want to make sure that you guys are really thinking about this, all right? You know what the keys are. You know why they're important. You know where you are now and where you want to be, right? Boom, there you go. There's the next thing on the slide. You know what's missing. So good news for you. I'm just going to take a sip of water because this good news is really exciting. Okay. So we can close the gap together and get you there sooner than you think. That's the good news. Like, it's actually possible that you can have the career that you want, like not someday, not like in 2 years or in 4 years or maybe in my 30s or my 40s. Like, no, like, let's do this like now. This is a mindset that I wish I had a long time ago. And so I took a long time and created this course called MX4, which stands for the Marketing and Branding Money Making Mentorship Mastermind. And I want to share it with you guys because I know if you're on this webinar, like there's something important for you in your music career and there's something blocking you from having exactly what you want. And this course is designed to get through that block. So it's a 6-week course with a mission to ensure that musicians achieve unprecedented results in their careers in 6 weeks and create lasting habits that allow for ongoing success. Period. End of story. Like, this isn't like there's a course and then there's another course. There's another. It's like, no, this is it. So the way the program works is that anyone who participates receives structured coaching in effectively marketing your music, pitching and communicating your brand, and implementing new techniques in finance, workflows, structures for fulfillment, well-being, goal setting, like all of the stuff that it takes, but in a manageable, non-overwhelming way. The format is it's a live interactive video class and it meets for like an hour and a half weekly for 6 weeks. It's usually under an hour and a half. And students have access to a login website. Every class is recorded, so you can replay it for a year, which is kind of cool. There's homework assignments and handouts and resources. And there's also occasional interviews with music industry professionals. So it's like you get to go to a panel, but instead of sitting in a room with 100 people, you can actually talk to the panelists, which is super rare. So I like to call this the pathway to freedom because people who have taken MX4 say that the top benefits are that they've increased their income in a short amount of time. They have a new community of motivated musicians and a place to network, which is like super great. They get confidence in their brand and how to talk about their music and how to pitch it, right? Like if you were stuck in an elevator with like Beyonce, would you even know how to describe your music or would you be like, I mean, if you are powerful in how you talk about your music, like people will want to work with you. They also get an easy to implement social media strategy and a plan for their whole career and clear actions to take and insights and tips on the current music industry and how to really utilize what's going on right now. So I'm going to just quickly run through each week so that you can sort of get a taste for this course and you can sort of look at, is this something that would make a difference for you? So first week is all about goals, right? So we create goals to be clear on what you want, but it's not just like, let's make some goals. It's like, let's make a plan for achieving those goals. And then when you achieve them, let's make a new plan. So we're scheduling the work and we're creating an organizational system to keep results coming. So it's more about the results, not just like what you say you want, right? It's really about the results that you're going to get and all the steps you have to take to get there. The benefits of this week is like you finally have a plan and a strategy. Like, again, no more throwing spaghetti against the wall. You've got real goals that are achievable and you have a fantastic new relationship with your calendar, which is always a benefit. We all like new relationships, right? Week 2 is branding. So we figure out your default way of acting, and that's like, what does that have to do with branding? But if your default way of being is like, you're afraid of failure or something like that, it's going to keep you from being in action. So we figure out what exactly that is, and then we replace it with something that empowers you, like a mission statement, an elevator pitch, something that you can say to yourself and that really lights you up and keeps you motivated. We also define your colors and fonts and organize the pages of your website. So we do all the branding stuff. And do a whole overhaul, really. And the benefit of this week is you get really clear on your purpose, like who you are, and figure out how to clearly communicate what you want, your genre, everything that's going on in your career. We create a bunch of awesome graphics for free, and we organize your webpage. So that's cool. Once you have all that set up, then it's time for pitching. So we really master the art of that perfect pitch. So like you'll write a bunch of emails, we'll tighten them up. You'll become really powerful at pitching. We'll create an organizational document to keep track of the pitching successes that you have. And you're going to start to build teams here to support you, right? I said, do it yourself is not do it alone. The benefits is that you're going to be making requests every day and you're going to start getting yeses when in the past they wouldn't have even asked. Like you wouldn't have even asked these questions. And you're like, whoa, I'm asking for this. I'm asking for $10,000. I'm asking for that gig. Like, whew, cool. So this is where you start to engage with your fans in week 4. You define your ideal fan or client or customer if you're a producer or composer. And create a social media plan for posting so it doesn't consume your week. You don't have to be thinking about, oh my God, I need to make more content and post and like be active on Facebook. No. We handle that. And you'll pick up a bunch of tips and tricks for social media management. And the benefits of this week are you're going to get a lot more likes and follows and engagement. That just happens naturally. And you're going to start seeing your super fans appear. If it's in your plan or one of your goals, you will definitely start working on launching a successful pledge or Patreon or Kickstarter campaign. And then week 5 is all about finances. So we shift the money mindset. We create a money management system, which is not what you think it is. We brainstorm dozens of new ways for you to generate income so that we're really utilizing your skills and make money from them. And then we make sure that you're set up to be paid. So the benefits of this week is like, this is the money making week. We get a lot of new ideas and we get you really set up. The last week is where we create some teams that will last you for the rest of your year. Like my accountability partners I have 2. One has been for like 2.5 years and the last one is like 6 months. So this is like long-term conversation here. We schedule your year. We work with overcoming overwhelm and anxiety. Benefits are that you get a lot of peace of mind. You actually gain a lot of time in this course because you're working so much more effectively. You have accountability, new ideas, and a structure, like something to support you. So you're not just winging it all the time, right? So this course is for you if you're a musician, songwriter, composer, producer, or singer who wants to take their career to the next level. Like that's who it's designed for. And if that's not you, this is totally okay. It's not for everyone. But if it does sound like you, stay with me because it's about to get really, really good. I promise. Let's talk about right now. Maybe you're stuck. Maybe you've tried everything. Maybe you're waiting, you're bored, you're not getting any results, you're unfocused, you're hopeless. Your music isn't making any money. Like if any one of those things is like, yep, that's me. I'm not focused. No, I'm bored. No, not result. No. Any of those, just one of those like rings true for you, then MX4 is probably what could really make a difference. I'll say that. But don't take my word for it. There are other musicians out there that are saying awesome things about it. Here's what they look like. Aren't they cute? There's so many of them. My favorite quote is from our friend Scott, who I talked about earlier. He said, "This is the CrossFit of music marketing money-making programs," which is just like, what? That's awesome. Thanks, dude. And I don't pay any of them to show up here, but there's testimonials all over the place. So they are liking it. There are other courses out there. I will say this. There are other guys, and some of these courses are awesome, but they're not this course, and I'll tell you why. So there's an online licensing music course that I know of that's sort of popping up, and it's a recorded course. So they're not working with you directly. There's a Facebook group, but it's really focused in on licensing songs, which is great, but like it's a lot of money. It's $1,000 to talk about one topic, and you'll get really great at that. But there's a lot more to a career, and who knows if you actually get to really dig into what you're dealing with. There's several, but one in particular I'm thinking of a self-improvement mastermind group. So you get the accountability. It costs around $10,000. I've seen mastermind groups, by the way, go up to like $15,000. It was something I was really interested in doing. And it's one of the reasons I created MX4 was because I was like, I want to be around musicians that are all really motivated and working on their careers, but I'm not interested in paying $10,000 for that. There's also online marketing courses for musicians. There's 2 that I know of. They're both around $1,000. They're pre-recorded courses. So again, you're not working with anyone, and it's sort of up to you to see your own stuff, which is really hard. And they're focused specifically on marketing music online, which is just a small part of anyone's music career, I think. But then there's also like entrepreneur courses, lots of different ones. There's one I know for sure that is an incubator for entrepreneurs. It's more of a mastermind course interacting with other people, and it's $2,000. So those I could, if anyone's interested in those, I can let you know which ones those are. I try to just like let you know that they're out there. But really, MX4 is the only mastermind program that was specifically designed for musicians by a successful musician. I say successful musician, you guys, I call myself a successful musician because I make 100% of my money creating music and sharing my process. Like, period, end of story. So it's all about music for me. And I defined that like before I even started this. I was like, when I'm able to do that, then I'm going to call myself a success. So I'm still working on things, and there are things that I want to see for myself in my career, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a success. So this program also is the only one that has one-on-one time with me and guest experts and a private Facebook group and a money back guarantee. So there's that. There's really great value. The MX4 value, it says investment, but it's really you're investing in yourself. You get 6 weeks of accountability partners, networking community. Like I said, some mastermind groups are worth up to 5 figures to be a part of. You get a live video session with me. I'm normally $207 an hour. I am a songwriter and composer. Like, I don't want a coaching business, which is why if I work one-on-one, I'm expensive because that's not all that I do. So if you add that up, it ends up being like $1,890 for the 6 weeks, right? Access to guest interviews and guest experts. I mean, how much do you pay to go to conferences? I don't know. I took a guess, like $500. You get to do the course as often as you want for a year because there's recorded audio from every session and you can listen back to. So that's like, I don't know, you can do the course a billion times if you want. So I just said 3,000. You get a private backend website with downloads, audio, extra resources, and there's a money back guarantee, of course, which is priceless. So the bottom line is that MX4 is valued at least $6,000. And I will tell you that the course itself is priced at $3,000, which just sounds like a lot, but because you're here, that means that you're serious about your future and that you're a right fit. Because I don't work with everyone. So if you're like, I like to play in GarageBand on the weekends, but I love my day job as a lawyer, like that's amazing and awesome and have fun, but this isn't for you. This is for people who are really serious about their careers and have a plan. And when I say plan, I mean like a vague idea of what you want to do. Like that is all you need, plus a strong commitment, and like you're good. So I'd like to offer you a special, don't worry, that's not a typo. I'd like to offer you a special NAP discount. NAP stands for not a procrastinator. And what that means is if you register today, you'll only pay $13.99. Oh, the NAP discount for being on this webinar, it's $2,000. I should have said that. The course is $3,000 because you're on this webinar. You get the I Like You $2,000, $1,000 off. So the course for you is $2,000. Here's the NAP discount. If you register today, you'll only pay $13.99, saving $601 off of the $2,000, right? And you can also pay in 3 payments of $533. There's a money back guarantee for the course, but if you do pay in payments, the first payment is non-refundable if you choose this method. So if you want to register, there are buttons below. So just scroll down past the chat box and you should be able to see those. When you do register, you'll get a welcome email with a get going guide within a couple days after you register. You'll get access to your private backend website for the course, and you'll get an agreement form to send back. You'll also add it to your calendar because the next one starts in 2 weeks. It's Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll get access to a video link as the date comes closer so that you can be on the video chat with me. It's not like a webinar. It's not like me talking at you. It's not pre-recorded or anything. Like we actually have conversations. So it's definitely different than and by the way, this isn't pre-recorded. This is live. So what's included? Oh, I see you, Kim. I know you got to go. We'll talk soon. What's included? Video calls every Monday for 7 weeks. It's a 6-week course, but we have a completion call at the end. You get to interview industry guests, like I said, and submit questions ahead of time if you're unable to actually be on that call with them. And there's one-on-one time with me. And I know we started at 8:32 by the time we got going, and it's now 9:33. And if you're still interested, I've got like 2 minutes left, and then I can do a quick Q&A for anyone that wants to stay over. So lastly, what's included, we've got weekly spotlights on members as case studies. So if you're in the course, like we actually will talk to you and like deal with what you're handling. You get full email access to me, accountability partner each week. And if you're signing up today or before Saturday at noon, actually, besides the NAP discount, I've got 3 other offers. So if you're on the live webinar right now, so this only applies to the people watching the webinar live Wednesday night. So if you're watching the replay, these do not apply to you. I'm sorry. You get my downloadable e-course, the Jumpstart Strategy, worth $67 if you act now on these 3 bonuses by tonight at midnight. You get a special bonus welcome video with me. So we're going to have a coaching call together, you and me. This is only available for the first 25 people. And you get the opportunity to be in the first group of people I spotlight in the MX4 calls. I'll explain that in a second. First bonus is my e-course. This is a new edition, and it goes through all of these keys, but really all about success. I don't need to read this. It's a great course. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of them, and you would love it. The bonus 2, the special private video call with me, is for the first 25 signups because I like things cozy. Before the course starts, it's actually going to be this Monday. You'll be rewarded for your non-procrastinationness with a call from me, and it will be video. We'll get to know each other. We'll look at where you are now, where you want to be. We'll talk about music. We'll have a glass of wine and an informal Q&A, and it's going to be awesome. And the last bonus is being the first to work one-on-one in the course. So what that means is because MX4 is a live course, it means everyone's going to be watching a video. So each week I'll choose 5 different people to work with me live. So you'll get to be on the video as well, visible to everyone else. And this is really a good opportunity to work directly with what's blocking you from having that like magic wand curate, right? So if you sign up today by midnight, you'll be guaranteed in that group. So my promise to you is that you'll become unrecognizable to yourself and how you work at your career in 6 weeks. And like I said, there's a money back guarantee. No one has ever asked for it. And there's a reason for that. Once you sign up, you get to join the graduates that are on the Facebook group and talk to them and network with them. And it's really like, we're really talking about what 2017 can look like more money, fans, bragging rights, communication skills, a team, no more struggling. So you know what it costs, right? The course for you guys is $2,000. If you act before Saturday at noon, it's $1,399, or you can pay in 3 payments. And if you act by midnight tonight, you get those 3 extra bonuses that were worth like several $100s extra. But what does it cost to not register? So let me just quickly tell you, I've spent over $100,000 like for reals on recording, touring, going to workshops and conferences, mentor PRs. If I had this course, I am 100% sure I would have spent only a fraction of that. So how about like no more struggling, right? How about more time? Instead of taking months and not years to find your groove, like we're talking 6 weeks. Like this happens in 6 weeks. So if you're thinking about like getting that new keyboard for $2,000, I don't blame you. I'm one of those people. Or hiring a PR firm for $4,000. Like those are investments. Like they may pay off over time, like maybe. But MX4 is designed to work in your life so that there's an immediate payoff. Immediate payoff. So some of the questions I get asked are, can I get the money back if the course isn't for me? Yes. How much time should I put aside each week? Between 2 and 4.5 hours. If you already released a bunch of records and toured, is this for you? Absolutely. It's like great for anyone that's like hit a wall or doesn't know what's next, or you've sort of tried everything and done everything. If you haven't released a record yet, is that okay? Like I said before, like if you know that this is what you want to be doing, absolutely. If you're not a performer, absolutely, that's okay. This like composers and producers and lots of other DJs have done this. So again, you have till Saturday noon to sign up for $1,399 price. After that, the course goes up to $2,000. You have until midnight tonight to qualify for those 3 bonuses, and the door is officially closed 2 days before the course. So the next steps are, if you sign up, you'll get an email outlining what's next, but don't wait for an email because you're going to miss the bonuses. And you guys, like, I want you to have this value. I'm telling you, I don't haggle with musicians. Like, this is something I wanted 10 years ago, and I finally got the skills and was able to really create this so that there could be magic in your life. So I know we are so over, but I'm going to come back on. And if you guys still want to hang out with me and do a little Q&A, hey, we're back. I am happy to answer questions on the chat. I don't know. Let's see. Suze would be, if there's anyone, if there's any questions, I'm just going to look over here. So you guys got that you can like scroll down on this page, right? And there's buttons to MX4. Okay, cool. So there's some emails, things like this. Yo, Chrysanthe's on the call. Hey, Chrysanthe. Chrysanthe was in MX4. So that's kind of fun. And I think Scott was here too. He was in MX4. I do not, yeah, I don't haggle in the world of like, I'll, you know, I'm way too flexible, but I mean, I don't want to like, if you're like, this isn't for me, I'm not interested in scamming anyone. Like, it's not about the money. We have to make this work. And there's something for you to see for yourself when you actually are able to invest in yourself. Like there's a transformation for you to have by investing in yourself. Like I would love to do this course for free, like would love it, but there's actually something that would be missing if that was the case. Do you get that? Like the biggest investment I made in my own career was when I actually went out and got a career coach. And that was the first thing that I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. And what was missing for me in that experience was I had no community. I had no direct access to music industry stuff. And I really was like, oh, this is cool, but not quite it. So that's why I created MX4, because it brings in the coaching and it brings in your own personal barrier stuff, but there's also money stuff. And there's also direct music industry stuff and talking to those professionals and all that jazz. So let's see, bonuses till midnight Eastern Standard Time. So you guys on the West Coast, you have a little extra time to be a procrastinator. That's what I think about that. Procrastination. You get rewarded for procrastination. And you guys, the course starts the second you press send or buy or accept or whatever the button says. In PayPal, you can pay with credit card and PayPal or whatever you want. So the second you press send, like something shifts for you, right? Like that money in, money air, the air thing, the air in, air out, money in, money out. The money goes out. Yeah. But there's room now for something to come in. It's going to be a shift for you. And that shift is going to happen by the end of February, because that's 6 weeks after the course starts. So again, anyone that purchases today, the course can start for you on Monday, because we'll have our own private video call, or we'll have wine. This is just water because I knew I'd be talking for an hour in 10 minutes. You guys are still here. Thanks so much. Like, I really get that there is something important for you. And I'm really tickled pink that you're here, but I need some water. Hold on. So, I mean, I'll chat till the cows come home, honestly. So let's see. Lazy West Coasters. LOL. Don't be lazy. Where are my West Coasters at? Like, let me see you go click sign up. Like, let's just see that right now. I want to know who's going to be on this call on Monday, my wine call, because I don't usually drink wine during MX4, but this Monday night, getting to know you special call for the first 25 people that sign up. I am very excited to be drinking wine with you. So, although if you're on the West Coast, that's wine time, 5 o'clock wine time. Yeah. Or bourbon. Okay. If you're a bourbon person, yeah. Bourbon, vodka. Yep. There you go. You're so full. Thanks, Lou. How are you? So awesome. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off of here unless anyone's got a question. You got signed up for, yes, Zach, you signed up. You're awesome. Welcome. And awesome. So I'm going to sign off from here. I will still chat. Does anyone else have any questions? I want to make sure I handle them like in person, because I'm here in person. You guys, I got a haircut for you guys today too. Do you like it? So yes, Steven has a question. My only question to do with this helps me to work towards placing music, building relationships, probably music stuff, ad buyers. Yeah, that's a great question. So your goal then, I'm guessing, like where you want to be is having the songs that you've already written placed into TV shows and commercials or films or wherever music is placed. So if that is your goal, then you're going to be working towards that. So you'll be working on pitching, all the pitching work that we do. You're going to be using people in that realm. And absolutely, you watch the replay. I'll be sending an email link tomorrow to everyone that was on the webinar so you can watch the replay. You can come back to this link, by the way, with the same password. You guys, did you notice the password is 2017 is my year backwards? What? That's cool, right? But Stephen, back to your question. Yes, this is absolutely, like, one of the reasons I continue to lead this course is because it has me more accountable for, that's one of my big goals. Like, my goal for 2017, I'll share with you guys, I have 3 resolutions, and one of them is to have a 6-figure placement. And last year in every MX4 course, I was working towards getting signed to a licensing company. And guess what happened in November? I signed with a really big licensing company. So I just have it that that's going to happen. And I used all of these skills. So Steve, if your goal is like, that's what you're working towards, then that is what your MX4 is going to be about. And the way I look at it, if that's your goal for the course and that's what you want out of the course, like, over my dead body, will you finish this course not having made some serious movement and can see some real results in there? So the answer is yes. Anyone else? How can you watch the replay? I said that already. I can't believe you missed that. No, so 2017 is my year. Yep. I'm a dork, you guys, but dorks get stuff done. That's all I got to say about that. Any other questions before I sign off? I know it's Wednesday night, and I so love you guys for being here. Thank you so much for your attention and for being committed to your own careers and letting me sort of contribute a little bit, even if a little bit. I hope this was valuable. And if you think MX4 is slightly interesting to you, sign up for it. I promise, like, personally, it's going to make a difference. That's why I designed it. Go 2017. Hello, Ed. Yes. Dorks get stuff done. I got to end with that. That's too good. Dorks get stuff done. All right, you guys, thank you so much. You'll get a couple emails about the replay, so you have the links and everything. And I really appreciate your time and your listening. So have a great rest of your week. I hope to see some of you or all of you on Monday's MX4 Getting to Know You call. All right. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, guys.